Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. I got a question for you guys. What do you think would happen if the 25.9 billion chickens that are in captivity today were suddenly released into the wild? Think about it for a minute. What do you think would happen? Well, I'll tell you what would happen. The wolves, the coyotes, the cougars, the bears, the lions, the tigers of the world would have a heyday, and they would be breeding like rabbits. The predatory population would explode if all the domesticated life forms were released into the wilderness. All of those domesticated life forms who've lost their natural abilities to survive and fend for themselves because they've been stuffed into these climate-controlled environments, shoulder to shoulder, being spoon-fed all day, bred to be top-heavy and largely immobile, so they can't run away. What do you think will happen when we give these domesticated animals their freedom? Well, it means certain death for those domesticated animals who've lost their ability to adapt to a changing environment, to an ever-changing environment, one in which there are going to be more and more extreme disasters unfolding, unprecedented disasters. Month after month, year after year, it's only going to get more intense. This is not speculation, this is not belief, this is pure science. So what do you do then to protect the flock? Well, you lock them down even harder. A lot of these chickens, if you put them out into the wild, they probably would just run back into the barn or run back into the fence. You know, those free-range chickens? It's funny how they got the so-called free-range chickens fighting with the domesticated chickens. But the free-range chickens are still fenced in. We're all still fenced in. And a lot of people don't want to go outside the gates, don't want to go off the grid because it's scary. It's scary because we've lost our ability to fend for ourselves. For most people nowadays, that's the only choice they have, is to stay at home for the last couple years. Now, if you ask me, if I knew that the proverbial you-know-what is going to hit the you-know-what in the not-so-distant future, I'd be locking things down a lot harder. Okay? If I knew that nuclear missiles were now being moved around and militaries were being moved towards various borders, if I knew that the weather disasters were only getting more and more intense and costly and becoming an even bigger drag on a system which is already in debt up to its knees, if I knew that the so-called inflation, which the Fed has now conceded is not transitory, or at least the definition of transitory has expanded now to stretch across the years instead of months, if I knew that the whole house of cards was about to collapse, well, I'd be walling my chickens in as good as I possibly could. A lot of people do not realize how domesticated we actually are. We look at animals in barns and chicken coops and zoos and cages, and we look at them almost with arrogance, as if the same thing hasn't happened to us, as if our own ability to run out there free in the wild, to be truly free and self-reliant, hasn't been completely neutered. Look, in the time that I've been alive, the population has nearly doubled. I just dated myself, didn't I? Not entirely, but almost. It's almost doubled. Where have all those people who've come into the world, where have they come into the world? Well, they've mostly come into the world in urban environments. There's whole generations of people that have known nothing but the incubator. Because outside the chicken coop, things are only getting crazier and crazier as things get more and more comfortable and efficient within our system. The more creature comforts that we are offered in exchange for our freedoms, the softer we become, the more manageable and malleable and mandible and controllable that we become, the less likely we are to fly away. And the problem is that outside those fences, it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. And our ability to survive is diminishing day after day after day. As we descend into the 2020s, not ascend, it's going to become more important than ever before that you have a plan for you and your family to get the hell out of Dodge or to bug the hell in if necessary, that you have all of your bases covered. The crazier things get outside the chicken coop, the more desperate the farmer is going to be to protect his chickens. And the more he's going to have to ramp up control measures and security measures to protect those chickens. It's up to you, namely the free-range chickens I'm talking to, because I'm pretty sure that the ones who are in the factory farms or cities right now are, time's running out for you, to be brutally honest. I'm not saying everybody move out to the countryside. All I'm saying is that the clock is most certainly ticking, and you should try to get into some free-range community as soon as you possibly can. The farmer is going to start to crack down on things, tighten security. As we enter the age of consequences, all these hormone-injected, propped-up, docile chickens are going to have to be ever more controlled and protected from the increasingly chaotic world outside. And so the farmer is going to have to bring the hammer down, and it's going to come down harder and harder with every disaster that befalls us. At the end of the day, the farmer cares about one person, and that's the farmer. The farmer only cares about the chickens insofar as they are a source of revenue for him or her. So I beseech you all, take this stuff seriously. If you're not taking prepping seriously, you need to start taking it seriously, because it's only going to get worse. I mean, throughout the next month, my main focus on this channel is going to be winter survival skills. So I would say at least 80% of the videos coming out throughout January and a bit of February are going to be winter survival related. Everybody can get up here on the pulpit and start preaching about stuff, but it's more important that we actually get out there in the field and test our skills, condition ourselves to the elements. And if anything, even if nothing ever comes to pass, it's going to build character. It's going to make you into a better, more well-rounded individual, has a greater appreciation for the finer things in life. And I just want to say that I hope that the free-range chickens and the factory farm ones can start to get along and see that they're all in the same predicament, and that at the end of the day, we're all going to the butcher, whether you live in the imaginary free range or not. Take care, guys. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Canadian Prepper out.